Hello, friends and gamers. Thanks again for listening and watching on YouTube. I appreciate it. Now, today's topic is about drinking beer and playing video games, two of my favorite things to do. Aside from ranting, watching the news, and ranting some more. So let me be honest. I do realize that drinking beer and playing video games does not make you better at video games. But I look at it like you have bar games, pub games, darts, for example. You go into a bar, there's going to be a dartboard in the back. People play that game. It requires accuracy and skill and fine motor skills. There are pool tables. People go bowling. In bowling alleys, they serve lots of beer. The alcohol does not help you at those sports or games. And clearly playing a video game, you're not going to get better by drinking beer. Not a Twitch shooter, by the way. I know. There was a game of Halo Reach a while back, and I don't know, maybe I was 5 beers deep. Oh my goodness. I could barely see the guys running around. Things were happening so quickly. I think my at the end of the game, my entire goal was just to get one kill. I just wanted to register 1 point for our team. And yeah, but it was a lot of fun. So I understand that, look, if you're drinking beer and playing video games, one, it's not going to help you. But I do it for the social aspect. But it's not like being in an actual bar. And that's really what I wanted to talk about. I think there's some benefits. There's some upsides to drinking beer and playing video games versus going out to a bar or pub with your friends. But there's also some downsides. One of the upsides could be you don't have to worry about a designated driver. I mean, clearly, if you're sitting in your house, maybe you have some friends over, they can always crash at your place. You're playing online with people. You're in your house. You don't have to pay for a taxi or a cab. You don't have to find a designated driver. And look, there are a lot of bad things that happen when people go out at night and have a few cocktails, have a few drinks, and then they're trying to make their way back home. A lot can happen during that process. So you stay at home. That's a good thing. Nothing bad's going to happen if you're in your house. Aside from what happens to me every now and then. What happened last weekend, last Friday night, game night playing Halo 4, I got hungry and decided I was going to go upstairs to the kitchen and make myself a quesadilla. And so I got the tortillas and all the ingredients and the cheese and everything and some leftover chicken, and I put it on the skillet and come back downstairs and I completely forget about it. Yeah, my wife was not excited to be woken up early in the morning to the smell of smoke. Yeah, could have burnt down the house. So I guess that's maybe that one's a push. But aside from drunk cooking, which I think is an entirely different category, I think that because you don't need a designated driver, that's definitely an upside. Definitely a benefit. It's also cheaper. It's cheaper. Look, there's no $10 beer nights or when you're at home gaming. You can go buy your affordable beer. I'm not a snooty beer drinker. I do like a good beer. I'm not going to go with the hipster retro, I don't know what you call it, Pabst Blue Ribbon thing. I'm not going to buy Old Milwaukee. I can't drink Miller High Life. It just makes me sick to my stomach. But clearly, you can buy beer from your grocer, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than buying beer at the bar. Okay? So, right there, it's just cheaper. You can save money. In this economy, that's a good thing as well. Who wants to be out drinking on the weekends and end up with, that credit card bill that comes back? You're like, why did I spend $150 on booze? How did that happen? That happens because you're drunk, you're having a good time, and you start buying drinks for everybody. Or you're just not thinking about how much it costs. Yeah, another round. You good on that beer? Let's have a few more. That adds up. That's why the bar business is a good business. Once they start getting patrons, I mean, come on. They make their money off the liquor Restaurants, anybody in the restaurant business will tell you that. If they don't have a liquor license, they're done for. You make money off the booze, man. That stuff sells. And it makes all the food taste better. I mean, because alcohol basically numbs your palate. That's why they want you to drink. Have a few cocktails, sit at the bar, have a few drinks before you sit down to eat. And your food's going to taste amazing. Why? Because you're not even tasting it. It's just sawdust. Oh, these appetizers are great. Cardboard covered in cheese? Amazing. No, that would be a terrible restaurant idea. But enough booze and it'd be great. Oh, I remember there's a steak restaurant down in D.C. I went to with a couple of buddies. And, having a couple scotches at the bar before you sit down to eat, it's relaxing and it's a good time. But we're paying a lot of money for those steaks. And you're still not enjoying them that much because, my goodness, we've had 8 fingers of scotch already. Come on. So that could be, it's definitely an upside if you're at home and you're drinking beer and you're playing games on the weekend, you're socializing and it's cheaper. You get to save some money. Save that money to spend on all the microtransactions that are in the game. Instead of buying another round of drinks, you can actually, buy some more downloadable content. And you still come out ahead if you're staying home versus going out. There's also a benefit because you're less likely to be at the bar at last call. There's nothing worse than being in a bar when the lights come on. Or a bar, a club, whatever you want to call it. It's just a horrible feeling. Those lights are low. Everybody's drinking, so everything looks better in the dim lighting. And then the lights come on, and it's like, oh my goodness, where am I? Start looking at the floor like, oh my God, this place is disgusting. Do they ever clean this place? But it looks great at about, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock after a few drinks. Everybody looks good. So you're less likely to be in a bar at last call if you're at home. The lights don't come on in your house at 2 o'clock in the morning because you've been on gaming too much. You just go to sleep. You just turn your Xbox off and crawl back into bed. That's all you have to do. There's no awkward moments. And oh my goodness, for the single guys, there's definitely no awkward moments of like all of a sudden you've seen all of these attractive women all night long. You're starting to get a little horny. You're thinking about hooking up. The lights come on and all of a sudden you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to make a move. No, you don't. You actually don't. I don't know what it is that's inside of us that makes us feel like, oh my goodness, at last call, I have got to get a girl's number. Otherwise, the total night was a failure. Oh my goodness. Because it usually doesn't work out very well. Those people that are hooking up at last call, oh my goodness. That's just terrible matches. It's a recipe for disaster. That's how you wake up the next morning regretting everything that happened the night before. Everything's set out on a good path. Things were going well. Your buddies, drinks were flowing, good times were had, and you just wrecked it. You wrecked it all. And for what? You can't even remember the last couple of minutes. Those last 2 or 3 minutes of the night. You know what I'm talking about. The real happy hour. Or happy 2 or 3 minutes. You don't even remember because you were hammered. In the end, is it even worth it? You lean over and you're like, oh my gosh. Did I hook up with this girl? Did we really have sex? And like I said, and for what? You don't even remember it. You don't even remember it. So again, hey, upside, game at home, drink some beer. You're not going to have that problem. It just isn't going to take place in your house. You're not going to hook up. Which, by the way, guys that are gaming online, quit hitting on people. you hear a voice over the other end, and it's a girl, and all of a sudden you think now's the time I'm going to find my next girlfriend. I'm going to get lucky. She's probably 500 miles away, number one. And two, it's just a voice. And think about this, as far as voices are concerned. There's a reason why, I think it was maybe late 80s, early 90s, when phone sex was a huge business. One, you didn't really have the internet. But phone sex, it's because you just hear a voice and automatically your imagination starts filling in the blanks. Oh, her voice sounds nice. I mean, unless she's smoking 3 packs a day and just drinking scotch straight all day long, you know, and her voice sounds like this, like that lady from the Monsters University movie. Hey guys, can I join your online gaming session? Unless she sounds like that, you're automatically going to think, oh my God, this girl's hot. I want to hit on her. Stop doing it. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself. And it's annoying. It's annoying to everybody else in the online party. And how awkward is it? Especially if it's a friend. You know, I've got girls that are also gamers, and they're playing online, and friends of mine, and then a guy comes into the party or online in the gaming session, and it's just an awkward moment because everybody's trying to take turns speaking. And you can tell where they're trying to go. They hear a girl's voice. They're trying to lighten the mood. They want to find out more about her. They want to get that Facebook address, that Twitter. It's so freaking awkward. Because everybody else is in there listening. Like, we can hear you, buddy. You're embarrassing yourself. In real life, it wouldn't happen because you're at the bar. You know how awkward it is when you just walk up and interrupt somebody else's conversation? There's a group of guys and one girl, and then some strange dude just waltzes up and starts hitting on the girl. I mean, you got to have some, you know, you just have to be one super confident fellow to pull that off, right? But look, why? Are you that desperate? So I think it's a benefit, actually, to playing online because you don't have that last call moment. You don't feel pressured to hook up. But in online games, yeah, people flirt and try and hook up, I guess. But at least the whole process is so damn awkward. It's just embarrassing. And really only inexperienced guys, I think, do it. You know, nobody that's even somewhat successful at dating is going to even attempt that. Now, here's a tip for you guys. Be yourself, be respectful, be a nice guy, be a good guy, and be damn good at something. That's all you need to get lucky. That's it. Some confidence because you're good at something. Be nice, respectful. That's it. Be a friend. Have friends. That's all you have to do. You know, sticking your chest out and using pickup lines and bragging, that really doesn't cut it. And by the way, the type of girl you're going to pull doing that stuff isn't really the type of girl you want to wake up next to anyway. Because, let's be honest, she's picking you. You're not picking her, she's picking you. That's throughout life. You may think that you wore her down, you know, that you got her to notice you. You were so awesome. You set your sights on her and you've won. You've captured her. She's your trophy. No, it doesn't work like that. That girl decided that she wanted to give you a chance. Girls aren't as desperate. I mean, they long for relationships and emotional connection, but they can go a long time. They can go a lot longer than we can without some sort of sexual release. Not saying that they don't need it. And for those girls that need help doing that, there's this video game mobile app called Happy Playtime. I wanted to give them a shout out. They have a really interesting game. HappyPlaytime.com, I believe it is. You can follow them on Twitter as well. It's all about female sexual release. And it's it's a really cool game, and I think it's one of the better games if you're going to address sex and that sort of topic in a video game format. But yeah, so here's some of the downsides to staying in, basically, and playing video games and having a few beers. One, no live music. There's no live music, and I hate that. I can't stand that. You know, sometimes when I'm playing game night, sometimes I'll have my music, you know, blaring, and I'm getting pumped up, and because I'm having a few beers, I'm getting ready to socialize with my buddies. And then you get online, and you have to kill the music because it's just annoying to hear music come over the microphone. It's like, you wouldn't call a buddy up on the phone, have your radio in the background blaring music, say, hey, check out this new song. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? It's like, no, it really doesn't. It doesn't carry well over the phone, buddy. I'm not really listening to it the same way you are right now. You could just, like, send me a link to the YouTube video, or, I don't know, just give me the name of the band. I'm sure I'll find it. You don't have to blare it over your Xbox mic or the phone or whatever. But live music, that's one of the I think that's the best part about going out. That's what I do miss. That's what I enjoy. Live music. And I really don't even care what kind it is. Unless it's, I don't want to go to a concert. You know, I'm not going to the pub or the bar to see, I don't know, Metallica play or Megadeth or some hardcore band. But, you know, good pub music. And I really love good Irish pubs because I like, you know, good Irish folk music playing. It's just something about it just makes the atmosphere fun. It just has an uplifting feel to it. Good jazz, that's also good. And sometimes there's certain music that plays better in a bar than just listening to it. But clearly, you can't have that over Xbox Live while playing video games. You're just listening to the in-game music, which is not the same. Unless, of course, I guess you're playing Guitar Hero or Rock Band, which that fad is over, so nobody's playing that. But you can see where that was a big selling point, was the music. Enjoying it with friends. Man, if I could go back, I guess I would have gotten to that scene for a little while. Rock Band. Having a little Rock Band party, having a couple beers at home, music, friends. Would have been great. Now, before I mention that you don't have to be at the bar at last call, well, the downside is you're not getting lucky. I mean, let's be honest. Let's say you're not hammered drunk and you're not waiting till last call, but you do, you know, you meet somebody, you make eyes across the bar. You know when there's chemistry, when it happens. You both smile at the same time, you lock eyes. That's when things happens. It's magical. That's not going to happen if you're at home. Heck, even if you take your wife out or your girlfriend, you know, a lot of times you're just out and you're socializing, you're having a few drinks out, and you're just in a better mood. So when you come back home, you know, everybody's feeling a little bit more frisky. You look good because you got dressed up. It's things could be exciting when you get back home. That's not going to happen if you're just playing video games and drinking beer. You're not going to get lucky unless you count yourself. You can get lucky with yourself, I guess, but you're really not going to get lucky in the same way. You're not going to bond with your friends in the same way. That's probably these are true drawbacks. And you bond with your friends over Xbox Live. Some of the friendships you form are real friendships. There's a couple of guys I've been talking to for years now. And although we've never met in real life, we know a lot about each other. And it feels like if we did meet up for drinks somewhere, that there really wouldn't be any sort of awkwardness to it because we know each other so well. And we're friends. We have a lot in common. There are people that I've known in real life. Guys I've known in the Marine Corps that I still am in contact with on Xbox Live. And we'll play games late at night and have a few drinks and talk. It's not awkward. There's still some bonding that's taking place. You're still socializing. But it's not the same as if you're actually out. And this is a downside. What you get when you're actually physically out in a group, socializing, that can't be replicated. And you can bond. When you meet a new person, maybe it's coworkers, you bond in a way that you just can't bond anywhere else. And that's why happy hour is really an important part of business, in my opinion. Because you need to get to know your coworkers outside of the office and bond over something. Drop the facade, the workplace facade for a little while, have a few drinks, loosen up, talk about yourselves, share some real life stories, and now you're friends. Now you have an understanding. So that when you disagree during a meeting, you know that it's not the end of the world, it's not personal. At least that's the way I see it. That's the way I approached it. And like I said, you can bond with people. I remember one of my first conference trips at my new job when I moved up to D.C. We're going out. I won't give names and locations, but we go out to a big conference. And I was the designated driver because I was the new guy. And we hit a couple of bars, but I was familiar with this city and area because it was in Florida. I'll just say that. It was in Florida. And the guy said, well, are there any good strip clubs since you're more familiar with this area? And I said, okay, well, I think I know where one is. So we head out. And of course, we're just drinking and talking about work and that sort of thing. I'm getting to know these guys a little bit better. They're getting to know me. And and they had a good time. We had a good time. Laughs. It wasn't a creepy situation. It was just, guys drinking beer, having a few drinks, having a few laughs. But what happened on the way back, because they're hammered by now. I'm not. I'm the designated driver. They want to stop and get some snacks at the gas station. I don't know what was up with these guys, but for whatever reason, they're back, and we had this big truck rental. It was like a Suburban or something, some big vehicle like that. Rental. And they're in the back, I'm driving, and now they're fighting over the snacks, and there's chips and pretzels and combos flying all over the place. It's like these guys were 15 years old all of a sudden. So we get back to the resort area, park the car, and by the way, this rental was actually shared by the rest of our team that was there at this conference. We all kind of pooled our money and got one rental vehicle because we were staying on a resort. And yeah, the rental vehicle was primarily being used by our boss, which was a woman, and her assistant, which was a woman. And the next morning, let's just call her, I don't know, Mary, the assistant. She walks up to us the next morning. We're all standing around getting coffee before the morning session starts. And she said, "Where did you guys go last night?" And they kind of give a dazed, uncertain, look and response. Like, I don't know. What are you talking about? What are you referring to? And she says, well, this morning when I got into the car with, let's call the boss, I don't know, Sarah. Miss Simmons. Well, let's call her Sarah Simmons. When I got into the car with Miss Simmons to drive her to get, coffee or whatever she needed that morning. Yeah, the entire truck was trashed. There's snacks everywhere. And oh, by the way, there are matches and cards for a strip club all over the place. And then I remembered, yeah, these guys on their way out wanted to start exchanging business cards with people in the strip club and the bouncers. Like, why does that make sense? Does that really, like, these are the people we're going to do business with next time. But yeah, evidence all over the rental truck. But it's one of those stories where we bonded over that trip because it was kind of embarrassing because we took the rental car out to the strip club and then our boss found out and knew basically where we were at the next night. Not that you have to be ashamed about that, but just, yeah, it's just one of those stories that you can't get any other way. You can't bond with people like that in any other way. And we became good friends after that. They really didn't know me beforehand, and I seemed to be kind of like an uptight person because I was new. I wanted to impress everybody. So I was trying to, do the right thing and say the right thing and, work really hard, come into the office early, stay late, basically making everybody else look bad. As the new guy, you think that you're impressing and everybody's taking note, like, oh, he's a real go-getter. Oh, man, this guy's going to be awesome, a good part of the team. No, you're making everybody look bad, because once you settle into your job and you have some job security, you're not worried about getting fired over the smallest little mistake. Once you're past that point, yeah, you're not really concerned about coming in early and staying late. And, I don't know, basically being an overall kiss ass. You're not concerned with that anymore. So, I was that guy, that new guy that's just making everybody else look bad because I'm trying too hard. And then after that trip, well, I was one of the guys. And it was a lot of fun. Those guys were great. It was a fun time working with them. You can't get that if you stay in and you do your socializing over Xbox. And so there are upsides, there are downsides to staying in. I'm going to stick with the overall benefits of drinking beer and playing video games because, like I said, I don't think anything trumps it being, one, cheaper, and I don't have to worry about a designated driver. No one's really going to get hurt. If I say something offensive, I mean, come on, it's over Xbox. Really? I don't have to worry about stumbling and spilling my drink on somebody and then them, all of a sudden now it's a test of everybody's manhood. I spilt a little bit of beer in a bar. Oh my goodness, it's the first time that's ever happened. Or you bump into somebody's girlfriend. Oh my goodness, you're right, that bumped. I bumped into her, my hand grazed her butt. Oh my goodness, man. That might be enough to make her sleep with me, bro. You've got to, you got to take care of business. Now you're threatened by me. You don't have to worry about any of that. All those shenanigans. Yeah, you don't have to worry about any sort of shenanigans. That's it for today's show. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment, subscribe, share, tweet. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment, like, all that good stuff. Share, promote this little podcast of mine. And don't be afraid to have this discussion. Thanks again. I am Gunner, and this was the Gamers on Tap podcast.